What's a 17-year-old armed with a knife doing in a family home in the middle of the night? It cost Lee Lovell his wife and his daughters their mother. Only now are we learning of the teenager's criminal past. 84 convictions, yet not a single night in custody. He's a murderer who'll be out of jail before he's 30.
She died protecting her home, protecting her family, Lee.
He isn't 13 or 14. He is 17 and 4 months away from being 18.
Convicted of 84 offences by the age of 17, yet has never spent a night in jail.
Out on bail because we've got weak bail laws.
Lee, what's it like being in this house without Emma?
There's a major bad memory here, but there's also some nice memories.
Lee and Emma Lovell were best friends, together for 22 years. Moving to Australia from the UK over a decade ago to bring up their two daughters, Scarlett and Cassie.
So, Christmas 2022, a little under 18 months ago, can you tell me about those last few days you spent as a family?
We went out for breakfast and went for a walk along the beach and came home and done some baking, cooked some mince pies, that sort of stuff, and played games and had some cocktails, and it was just a beautiful day. It was just really nice.
You don't know in that moment, do you, that they're your last precious moments?
No. And I suppose that was something that has really bothered me, really, just not being able to say goodbye.
So Boxing Day night, you and Emma go to bed. You're pretty knackered after a pretty awesome few days by the sounds of it.
Yeah, we actually went to bed like quite early. Yeah.
What woke you?
The dogs, especially our little one, was like barking, and at first I wasn't really overly concerned about it because we've got Swan cameras and, you know, we've got the app on our phone, and I sort of woke up and sort of rolled over to Emma and she was on her phone and just said the front door's open, and yeah, just opened up our bedroom door and then see two people in our house right in front of me, so yeah.
Scary.
It's one of those things where, like, I think your mind takes over and your body is just along for the ride, really. So you just pushed him out of the house. He was actually sort of lunging for me, trying to sort of stab me in the back, and then I think that's when he sort of got Emma at the same time.
It's dark, there's confusion, there's chaos, you're being attacked in your own home.
Because I realised our youngest, Cassie, was standing by the front door. By the time I looked back at Emma, she was like just like passed out on the floor. And when Cassie came back, she was like, "Mummy's bleeding." I'm like, "What do you mean she's bleeding?" And looked at her left side, and her 90 was just like soaked with blood, you know. And then that like panic sets in.
Yeah. So, my goodness, Cassie and Scarlett are both at the house and they're right there afterwards.
I'm pretty sure it was Scarlett was like, "You know, you're bleeding." And I'm like, "Am I?" I suppose the adrenaline's pumping really, and you just don't feel anything, and then that fear goes through you, and you just think, I can't die, and that was a bit of a tough moment.
A 17-year-old with an 11.5 centimetre knife stabs Lee and Emma in their North Lakes home north of Brisbane. As Lee is taken away in an ambulance, a specialist team of paramedics perform open heart surgery on his wife on the front lawn.
To be at the hospital and to be told that like she hadn't survived was, yeah, like a major shock, really. So I was like, I want to see her, and sort of jumped off the bed and, you know, trying to walk through to see her without falling over, really, you know, and then, yeah, sort of see her on the bed and spend a bit of time with her, and then was like, I'm going to get out of here. So I suppose the kids were my focus then, and getting back to them, really, so.
She died protecting her home, protecting her family, Lee. I'm so sorry.
Emma Lovell was just 41. She should be here with her family walking the dogs. But life can't just stop for Lee. He's got 2 teenage girls to raise.
Now at a time where you're dealing with your own grief and emotions, you have to step up, and you're both mum and dad.
Yeah, I suppose that's one thing I have struggled with is grieving. I can't grieve for Emma as well as, you know, work and be as professional as I can at work and then come home and manage the house and clean the house and be a parent.
You think about how much ugliness your girls saw that night, and do they feel safe here?
Initially, no. We ended up sleeping in the same bedroom in my bedroom for like sort of 7 months. Sometimes you hear noises outside and you wake up in a panic and think someone's in the house again, you know, so that's been hard at times.
So 2 17-year-olds were picked up by police a few hours after the attack. The one who killed Emma laughed. What did you think of their ages?
I suppose it didn't surprise me, really, that they were 17 because of how much youth crime there is that's going on. But it's just quite commonplace nowadays, isn't it? We just see it all too often when people are walking around with like machetes and breaking into houses, and just think probably as a society we've been so weak on youths.
It's left 16-year-old Scarlett scarred, navigating her teenage years without the love and wisdom of her mum.
How do you feel about the fact that the people who broke in here were 17? That's only 1 year older than you.
I guess it's just the way everyone's raised differently, you know? My parents raised me to be nice, polite, you know? You don't really go around breaking the rules, you know? Of course, every teenager's going to want to rebel at some kind of stage and go out drinking with their friends and, you know, but I don't know, I didn't expect it to go as far as people actually entering people's houses. You can't expect to walk into a house with a knife and, you know, say, oh, it won't get used, it'll be fine. Being woken up to, like, you know, a scream that is a scream that no one should ever have to hear.
What do you miss most?
I don't know, just being able to talk to her, have her little hugs. Everyone has their own definition of perfect, but, you know, she was definitely my kind of perfect mum, you know.
The teenager who killed Emma pleaded guilty to 4 charges, including murder. What was it like when you laid eyes on him in court for that first time?
It was really bizarre because he walked in and I hadn't really seen him before, and you just expect him to look like a monster. But he's not, he's just like an average young adult. And for a while there I sort of couldn't really take my eyes off him because you expect him to be more than what he is, you know, so.
He was sentenced to 14 years jail for killing Emma. Typically murder in Queensland gets you around 10 years if you're under 18. So it was actually a tough sentence because the judge found it was particularly heinous.
But when he said 14, I suppose I was pretty disappointed. And then they start talking about only having to do 70% and then time served. And then you think, well, it's not really 14 then, is it? So yeah, how much more do you need to be doing to get a harsher sentence? And that's what I'm not happy about.
He's 19. With time served, he's out before he's 30. He's got his whole life ahead of him, and he can never be identified. We can never show his face. We can never say his name. If he chooses, he goes and he gets married and he has children. And I think of all those milestones that your girls will have, and there's just that hole, there's that person missing.
You know, it's the girls and I and other family members and even friends that will be left with this life sentence going forward, and that other person gets to carry on with their life.
He killed Emma Boxing Day. Had it been around the Easter holiday, so 4 months later, he would have been 18.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
So he would have been sentenced to life,
Correct.
which is 20 years in Queensland.
Yeah, yeah.
4 months.
He is 17 and 4 months away from being 18. As you said, another 4 months, we would have been talking a straight up life sentence. So.
You look at his rap sheet, convicted of 84 offences, 16 of them break-ins and 2 of them happened with people at home, just like you and your family, Lee.
It's pretty shocking, to be honest, that, you know, nothing was done sooner, wasn't picked up sooner, and maybe the guy wasn't given more help.
He'd never spent a night in custody.
Time after time, crime after crime, and just out on bail because we've got weak bail laws. No one seems to want to lock anyone up for... And then innocent people are just the ones left to pick the pieces up afterwards. So.
As Lee tries to get through each day, he's clear on what needs to change. Tougher sentences, more police patrols at night, and better support for families like his in the immediate days after. None of it brings back the woman he has loved for more than half his life.
Yeah, I suppose I just miss that, you know, like that connection. I miss being wanted. I miss being loved, I suppose, so.
It's a pretty big thing too. We all need that.
Yeah, so you sort of take some hugs whenever you can get them nowadays, don't you know, so.
What keeps you going?
The girls. They're just my focus at the moment, really, and I suppose to a certain extent they're the reason I get up in the mornings.
And they're beautiful girls. They wonder why we've lost faith in the system. If it had done its job, Emma would still be with us.